All right, so what do you make of the action that we saw yesterday going into today? S&P back above 6,000. That seemed to be a very key level when it comes to sentiment. Do you think that all the gains potentially out of a deal, is that already baked into this market, or is there room for upside based on what comes out of these London talks?
Well, you're right, Frank. 6,000, it's a round number. It's, of course, an important psychological level. But beyond that, it doesn't really mean much. But it does remind investors that we are near all-time highs now. And it seems like people see that as, a good thing. It's that people see it as this sign that momentum is carrying us higher. I'm a little skeptical here, I'll be honest. We've seen cyclicals lead this rally. We've seen some pretty dour economic news lately, but I think in the absence of extremely bad news, and especially as trade tensions, you could say, loosen, I think investors want this market to move higher.
All right, so, the one thing, though, it's not clear if the tensions are loosening. We just heard Eunice saying that China released a statement through an account, basically that they're going to kind of stay steadfast when it comes to these negotiations. With a lack of clarity here, we kind of have a lack of clarity. What sectors do you see as more investable or less investable, either side of the coin? Which way you're looking at it?
Well, on that first point, Frank, I think trade tensions by default are loosening in investors' eyes because we are seeing these talks, even though the day-to-day headlines might be one step forward, two steps back, something like that. I'm not necessarily saying I agree with that, but I'm just trying to think about how investors are seeing it, especially in relation to what ultimately that extremely bad news and ludicrous policy that we saw at the beginning of April. But in terms of sectors, Frank, we're leaning away from those with high expectations. Tech is at the top of that list. Tech, of course, is the hot sector, and it's led stocks higher, but it is one of the most exposed sectors when it comes to suppliers overseas and international revenue. I think investors are betting on this fact that tech could be treated a little nicer when it comes to China tariffs. Of course, we've heard reports about that. But I think the Apple tariff threats a few weeks ago show us that, tech isn't really as safe as we thought. I mean, we also are getting a little cautious on the economy here. So we like leaning into value here, and we like leaning into quality.
When you say tech, a lot of times I think people think you're talking about the Mag 7, mega cap tech. But if you look at the charts, I don't know if we have this one ready, but if you look at the S&P equal weight tech sector, it's actually outperforming the tech sector, I believe also the market over the last week or so. So there's some other parts of tech working. When you're talking about tech, are you talking about chips? Because chips had a big day yesterday. Are you talking about software? Like, what parts of tech are you not feeling confident about? And are there other parts of tech that you maybe see as better?
Well, funny enough, and you're right, tech has a lot of different flavors. Funny enough, stratifying tech right now is really important because the lower end of tech, the more unprofitable, speculative companies that have to rely on outside funding haven't done well for the past few years. They've had moments of outperformance, especially in market rebounds. I wouldn't be surprised to hear if smaller tech has outperformed over the past month or so. But they're in a really tough spot at the moment. They're going up against these bigger tech companies with big competitive advantages and, larger competitive moats. So ironically, looking into tech, I would be a little more optimistic about bigger tech companies, especially because they do fall into that quality bucket. But I think you have to be really careful here, Frank, especially if you're, investing in tech as, a whole or as a sector. I think you have to be very discretionary.